We are what is called live, and I am happy about it. Hello, everybody. This is, if I'm not mistaken, Wednesday. Tell me if I'm right. Am I right? Okay. This is Wednesday, and that means this is through the eyes of others. And so I, Aaron, want to say hello on behalf of my sidekick, my buddy, my friend, my co director, and as she always says, my partner in crime, Lisa Kay. We want to welcome you to tonight. And tonight is going to be good. We have a special guest. I know I always say that, but it's really a special guest. Trust me when I say that. Our family, our team member, Darcy, is going to be with us. And we're going to talk with Darcy, listen to Darcy, and just spend some time as we see life through her eyes. These conversations that Lisa and I facilitate are about the emotional residue that many people are experiencing from trauma, and they experience this as they watch life being lived right in front of them. Vicarious trauma is our groove where we hang our hat, and we like to be able to share and explain what vicarious trauma is. And we want to talk about the recovery process of vicarious trauma. And we do this as we look at life through the lens, through the eyes of other people. We look at life through the eyes of other people because we want a fuller view of what life looks like. If we only see life through our eyes, we have a distorted view of what life really is. And so we add to our story the stories of others, and we can get a complete picture of what this is as we move through the community of wellness and recovery. So without any further ado, I want to say hello to everybody, welcome you, and bring on my sidekick, Lisa Kay. Lisa, jump in and say hello to everybody, and love on them like you do, Lisa.
Well, hello, everybody. Thank you for coming on today for Through the Eyes of Others. It is going to be a great conversation tonight. Miss Darcy, a lot of you who will watch it now or watch it later know her face, know her name, because she is a star at Promise Resource Network, and she has been in my life for a while now. Through work, but she is very near and dear to me, and she's got an incredible story. She's an incredible lady, and I admire her so. And I always call her, she's, I'm her other mother, and sometimes I am. So, but she is, it's an honor to know her, and you guys are just going to have a treat tonight to just walk with her, see through her eyes. She is young and vibrant, but man, she has lived a life. I always told her she was an old soul because some of the music and some of the things that she enjoys, and just having her private time and very peaceful time. She just reminds me of someone who just is one of those old souls. And so you'll hear that tonight. She's very chilled and laid back. And I'm just excited about having Darcy on finally. So tonight we're going to be talking about, you'll listen to Darcy and Aaron and I, and we will talk about things that will be from Darcy's life, that some traumas, and also be bringing around awareness about vicarious trauma. And we know that vicarious trauma, we say this every week, is the cost of loving people, period. Yep. It is. And all three of us, we work, that's what we do. We get paid to love people, and love people in a way that is supportive and non-judgmental, because we've been there, done that. That's that peer support kind of love. And but those of us that have gone through whatever in our families, at work, whatever your line of work is, it doesn't matter. Sometimes it's just taking care of someone in your home. Just being around the environment right now with everything that's going on, we can layer that onto us. And the next thing we know, vicariously, we're taking on this trauma. And the next thing we know, we are very heavy with it, and we can't move. Our worldview changes. The things that we enjoy doing, we no longer enjoy doing. Our attitudes, stuff like that. And so Aaron and I wanted to start this way back when, to just bring awareness around trauma, but especially the vicarious trauma piece. And it just keeps growing every week. So you guys come on. Miss Ariel is in the house saying, Darcy. Hello, Ariel.
Hey, Ariel.
I just hear her saying that. That's why I said it that way. And then we have Miss Kim Porter's in the house saying good evening to everyone. And then we have Miss Erin with an E. Uh, oh snap! Look at this group. Oh yeah, this is a powerhouse group tonight. I'm telling you, we are. But man, thank you guys for coming on. Whether you come on now or you come on later, you guys share this on your social media. We want this especially Darcy's story. We want to get this out. People need to know Darcy. They really do. They need to see where she's been through, how it looks through her eyes, and how she's bounced back. Because if she can do it, we can do it, right? And so she's got a great message of hope, and we just thank you all for coming on. Stephanie Butler is on with us saying hello. Hello, Stephanie. You guys just keep chiming in, take part, ask questions, give Darcy some love. Give me and Aaron a little love if you want to, but we would love to hear from you. So we're just going to go ahead and dive into this thing and let Aaron get us started.
All righty. Listen, everybody. So thank you. Make sure that you are sharing this conversation on your social media platform. Send it out there to everyone, and everybody that you share, you demand that they share it, and you demand that whoever they share it to, that they share it. And please go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. We would very much appreciate that, because for us, it's all about getting our conversations and classes about wellness and recovery into the lives, into the houses of other people. All right. I just want to say one thing before we get started, Darcy. Darcy, you see that butterfly sitting behind Lisa? Yeah. That butterfly wants to be an eagle. So I just want you to know that butterfly, the ambition of that butterfly is to one day be a Philadelphia Eagle. All right.
All right, I'm out.
All right, here's the deal, everybody. And Lisa's absolutely right. Darcy is just good people. And coming from North Philly, when someone says you're good people, you don't get much higher than that. And so Darcy is simply good people. Her love for people, her growth into her role has just been inspiring to watch. And some of the things that we're doing now as a squad, Darcy and I have grown closer together because we're working hand in hand, supporting one another. We're right hand and left hand with some things. And so I truly appreciate you. And Darcy, you helped a lot when I asked you to come on and we began talking about what this would look like. And I mentioned a major significant event that happened in your life that many of us are aware of. And you looked at me with all earnest and you said, Aaron, many people think that's my story of recovery, but that's just a very small part of it. And that blessed me, because many times we do that, right? We hone in on a traumatic experience with someone and we create their story for them. And that's just unfair. And so we wanted you to come on and give us the Darcy thing. So first of all, welcome. We love you, Darcy. Darcy, tell us a little bit about Darcy, and then we'll go on and dig into your recovery and wellness. Boom.
Sounds good. Look at that. My name's up there and everything. This is fancy. Some of you guys know me. I'm Darcy. I worked at PRN for about 5.5 years, which to me is insane because I feel like that is such a long time, but also has flown by. The two people you see on the screen have helped me grow up in this field, in this agency, and have seen me go from tiny little Darcy who had no idea what recovery and wellness was to somebody who I am now and somebody I'm really proud to be. And that takes a village, and that takes the people on the screen, the people in my life, my own natural supports, and people who have come and gone out of my life. They all played a huge role in that. So I'm very grateful to be here today, where I'm at today, and where I'm at in my recovery journey. And Lisa said that I'm an old soul, and I've been told that from a lot of people, but whenever I think about, I'm like, wow, it's 6:40 at night, like it's getting late. And then I realized maybe I am 29 going on 59, and I'm okay with that because like Lisa said, I only have 28 years and 11 months under my belt, but it feels like a couple lifetimes I've lived. So I'm very grateful for that because it's made me and shaped me into who I am today. And I really couldn't be more grateful for those things that have happened. So thanks for having me, guys.
You are more than welcome. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. So let's dig in, Darcy. whenever life presented to you opportunity to do something different, whenever life presented opportunity for you to understand, to know, to explore wellness in a way that you hadn't probably, maybe, I don't know, previously. What was going on in your life? What was going on when you said, you know what? I want to do some different things. I want to build something healthy, something well in my life. What was going on with you? What did life look like for you, Doris?
So, I mean, there's probably a million different situations that I can think of, but the first one that comes to my mind is about a year and a half ago, probably around January, February. So I guess 2 years ago at this point. I wanted to lose weight and I wanted to feel better about myself. And what started as a weight loss journey ended up being a full-on re-makeover of who I am as an entire person. And maybe that came from feeling better about myself and actually doing physical activity and having clarity and going on walks and doing a lot of mindfulness, which at the time maybe wasn't even intentional, but unintentionally I was becoming more me and spending time with myself and, you know, being mindful of what I was putting in my body. And that also included what I was putting in my mind. And I had so much clarity over a couple of months, and that whole year, everything in my life changed. And I was like, oh my gosh, everything is changing, including me. And, you know, relationships ended and new ones began. But what was stable during that time was the relationship that I had with myself. And every single opportunity I had came with self-reflection. And I decided to self-reflect and say, okay, this ended. What was my part in it? This began. What is my part in it? I want this to continue. What can I do to continue this? Because I like this and I need this. And I just started being more mindful about who I was and what's important to me, and having those healthy boundaries with people and not being, you know, I'll say it like this. Lisa told me something a couple years ago and it stuck with me. And I make a lot of decisions based on this. And she said, if I start saying no, that makes my yes mean more. And that was super helpful for me to create boundaries with people, to say, if I say yes every single time, it doesn't even have the same effect as it did before. You know, it doesn't even mean as much. And I don't want to do this, but I'm going to do it, you know? And so whenever I started saying no and I started putting myself first and I started realizing what I actually wanted to do and what I didn't want to do and what was important to me, I realized those actually made my relationships healthier too, because people were like, well, and people call me all the time. They say I'm blunt or I'm forward, but it's a respect thing too, because they're like, but I know if you say yes, you actually mean that, you know? And that's something that I found to be very proud of myself for, because it's very genuine and it's very true. And that is a huge part of who I am today and how I got there.
Darcy, as you begin to implement change for you in your life, did you have to learn these things to be able to change them? Are these things that you've always wanted to change? Did you have to learn how to say no? Did you have to, even in your physical decision for yourself, are these things that you had to learn, or are these things that you knew and just needed to implement? And if they are things that you had to learn, how have you learned them to implement them?
So since my physical journey was what kind of prompted everything else, I can relate it to that. So it's almost like a muscle that I had to work. So the first time saying no, or the first time it was okay, well, maybe, you know, and then so I had to grow in that. And at first it would eat me alive, and I would stay up all night and it would give me anxiety. But then the next day I'd be like, well, you know what? That worked out. And I didn't have to have the power to fix that, you know, and they did it on their own, or they didn't actually need me. Or if anything, I helped that person develop a self-determination skill, because I didn't just jump in and do it for them. And so, yeah, whenever you say, is it something I've always wanted to change? I think that every day I find something I want to change about myself and about my relationships. And I think that that's because I'm so grounded in who I am and who I want to be, that I'm also open to learning from other people, like just like this class, like through the eyes of others. Like I'm so interested in other people's perceptions and why they think like that and what caused that to happen, and why they have that belief. Like I'm so interested in so many different people's views that I'm open to change my own if it's something that sounds good and feels good and is something that I think is going to benefit and be healthy. So yeah, I mean, yes and no. It definitely was some things that, I mean, I knew I wanted to lose weight. I knew I wanted to be a good person. I knew I wanted to change for the better as much as I could. But I think that each circumstance, it had to happen day by day, and it still continues to.
So Darcy, and I really appreciate this because, well, for many reasons, but one is today earlier on the cafe, we talked about addiction. And in our conversation about addiction, one of the questions that I asked and got feedback from the squad that was with me today was about what we like about us. So many times we make changes, and we make changes according to what we don't like, or according to what we feel is a void that we want to fill, or something that we want to bring into life. Mm-hmm. And we oftentimes miss the good that we start with. And we don't talk about that as much as the changes that we make. So the new and improved Darcy, what carried over, right? What did Darcy bring over to add to, right? What did the new and improved Darcy add to the old Darcy?
So, like I said, people will call me forward or blunt or honest, and in the same breath we'll call it genuine. And so that's something I appreciate, because I think that's something that I really have always had. I just didn't know how to execute that, because before I was being called not so nice names because my delivery wasn't not so nice. It was not so nice, right? And so I think that what carried over is the genuinity and the willingness to be there for people. But now I have a handle on being there as much as I can without it being a detriment to who I am. I know Lisa's saying for her life is protect this house, and the house being herself, right? And I've taken that for the last 5 years, and it's important to me, because I've always said, even being in a relationship or not, I might sleep next to you, but I go to bed and I wake up by myself, and I'm number one. And you could wake up tomorrow and not be here. Your choice, not my choice, nobody's choice. So whenever I take my my sleepy time tea and I go to bed at 8 o'clock, my last thought is, what am I going to do better tomorrow? And what can I do? What did I do today? I do a lot of self-reflection. And my favorite thing, and something I really try to live my life by, is do the best you can until you know better, and then do better.
You are wise beyond your years. So, I also want to add this. Apparently, Lisa, at some point when Darcy hits the lottery, she owes you a lot of money.
For sure.
Yeah, she owes you a lot of money. So, Doris, before we turn it over to Lisa for a few and have her dig in, Darcy, as you make change in any of us, right? Our change, a wise person once told me that once I make a decision about me, then the people in my life have a decision to make, because I've made my decision about me. And that's something I live by, right? And so you now have a decision to make about us, me, because I've made my decision. And so for you, what was your change like for the people closest to you, right? And we touch a lot of lives. I'm with you on a lot of that. Our lives touch so many lives. But the people who are closest to you, the people who have journeyed with you, the people who have seen this Darcy on this side, I have an imaginary line here, by the way, the Darcy on this side and this new and improved Darcy, and this Darcy going into a whole different direction of wellness. How did that affect the people who knew you? Did they transition with you? Did they get stuck on the other side of the road? What does that look like for the people who are in your life closest to you, Darcy?
Whew. So yeah, all of the above. There's people who have been left behind. There's people who are with me now. I can speak to the people who are with me now. There was a lot of patience that they had to have with me. Just because I speak about being, great right now, how I feel great about myself, there's also that transition time where it was hard for me to be doing that. And it was hard for me to figure out on a day-to-day basis who I wanted to be and who I was and what was important to me. And so, I had to reach out to a couple people actually recently and say, listen, I fell off the planet. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I had to do me for a while. I had to sit with myself for a while. I'm sorry I didn't call you back. I'm sorry I didn't text you back. You've called me, you've texted, you've done all this stuff. And I just, I ghosted a lot of people. And I feel bad because my intention was never to hurt someone. My intention was to do what was best for me during that time. And I did that. And thankfully there's some people that understand that. And, something that's interesting to me that a lot of them said was, well, I wish you would have reached out because I could have helped. And, my response was, no, you couldn't. And I appreciate that. And I know where that comes from. And I know it's because you love me. And I know it's so well intended, but that's something I had to do for me, with me, by myself. And it was hard for people to hear that, but I also think that people learned a lot about me and I learned a lot about myself during that time. And, there's definitely things I'll do differently next time because I doubt this is the only transition period I'll have in my life. I got a good ways to go, hopefully. So, hopefully I've learned a lot from just this one situation. And next time, maybe I'll just text back and say, now's not a good time, and maybe not worry people so much, but you get in this, it's almost like this bubble of yourself and that's all you can see. And you have your day-to-day routine. And, to me, the most important thing that people did for me was once they heard from me, they realized it wasn't personal and it was about me. And there's a lot of things I still continue to work on every day and need to work on every day. And that, that's letting people in, letting people help when they can. But just knowing that I do have the power to do it myself is a pretty good feeling.
I admire you for many reasons, but one is that and when I was 29, I wasn't doing self-work, right? I thought I was enjoying life, but I was actually destroying my life, right? And it felt like it was enjoyment because I was doing a lot of new and exciting things in various places, including the military. But in reality, I wasn't. I was really actually building what became the deeper part of my addiction during that period of time and didn't realize it. So, Darcy, I truly admire the fact that at your age, and that's not a slight at your age, right? I just find it very admirable that this is the focus for you. And I'm blessed by that. I get to see that in my daughters also. They spend a lot of reflective time. They spend a lot of introspective time. And to be able to see that at 29, I'm extremely happy for you, right? And wish I had. And one of the things that I often share is get on it now, because one day you won't be 29, you'll be 49 or you'll be 62, right? Doing this work. And this is some of the work you want to do early on so that you can enjoy the changes a little longer. So I just want you to know that I admire you. I want to turn it over to my sidekick, my buddy O, Lisa K. As Jackie Gleason would say, take it away, Lisa.
Oh, yeah. Well, we got a lot of people chiming in, saying hello to us tonight. And we got folks chiming in on some of the things that we're saying about protect the house and some of the things that, have rolled out of my mouth for years and now rolling out of Darcy's mouth. So, got to be careful, right? Eric says, Darcy, you just described his life to a T, Darcy. I'm a better listener than talker. He did hashtag sorry I ghosted you. So,
yep. I
love that. Yeah, I love that. I've not heard that. I think I had heard ghosted before, but hadn't thought about it. But yeah, I like that. I had to be a ghost for a while. So, but yeah, Darcy, I've walked a lot of walks with you. A lot of walks with you. We used to come in back when we were live on 1041 Hawthorne Lane. You and another coworker called it going to Mama's house.
Yep.
And I love that. And I always knew when you called and said, we want to come to Mama's house, that there was sometimes some pretty heavy stuff, right? Some heavy things that had happened that day or were building up for someone we supported, or maybe how it was affecting you or whoever or the team. So I want to just talk a little bit about trauma. And, you know, Darcy, you are a trauma survivor for sure. And I want to kind of dive in a little bit about, you know, I think coming to Mama's house was a coping skill, and it didn't just benefit you and others, but it also benefited me. I learned so much in Mama's house. And I appreciate the transparency and the honesty that you guys felt you could have with me. And I also realized how much trauma and vicarious trauma can play with the people I work with. And you are a great example of that. And because in your growth, you were really growing. You dug in deep when you first came into Promise Resource, and you were bright-eyed and so ready to tackle the world. And I remember you come into my office really early on and said, you know, I was told to come talk to you. And I remember saying to you, Darcy, if we don't talk through some things and get through some things, you won't be here this time next year as an employee of Promise Resource. Yep. And I loved you enough to tell you that, because who sent you there cared enough about you too, and knew that you and I had a lot in common. And so we began to share what, you know, having Marines as fathers was one of the biggest things that we had in common, and how we were raised. And a lot of that has to do with how we handle things sometimes, right? Or don't handle things.
There you go.
Right. But you've come a long way from that in a very short period of time. You know, 5.5 years does feel like a long time, but it's really not when we see the growth that you've had there in your walk at Promise Resource, with your own past traumas that you've had in your life, things that you have gone through and endured and come out on the other side from your teenage life to your adult life, you know, all of that mixed up, and being at Promise Resource, hearing other people's stories, walking with them, sitting in the floor with them, crying with them. Talk a little bit about when you started feeling like, gosh, this is really tapping into me and bringing up some stuff for me, and what that felt like, and how you dove in to not, because I think we all have experienced vicarious trauma for sure. When did you notice that you were putting on that vicarious trauma, and what did you do about it, and what was that like for you?
So this is such an interesting question, because I'll go back to 5.5 years ago whenever I got hired, and I was hired as an employment specialist, and the qualifications for that did not require like lived experience, like as we call it. And so I was like, oh, my job's just going to be helping people get jobs. They're like, that's cool, you know? Wasn't exactly what I expected. And I remember going through the peer support training and, you know, saying, well, I probably can't get certified because I don't have lived experience. And everybody said, yes, you do. Like, yes, you do. And I never saw it until I was talking with people, you know, different people I was supporting, or, you know, just different people who would come to the hub, or even other employees there. Sometimes you can't even tell the difference, you know, so I don't even remember who it was, but I just remember being like, well, I know what helplessness feels like. I know I've definitely been hopeless, you know, I've definitely experienced things that have changed everything about me and have been hurt to the point where I didn't feel like I could come back from it. And, you know, what Aaron was saying earlier about an experience that I had that he assumed was my story, this is where I think I realized I had a story that wasn't what everyone thought. because I was involved in I was a victim of a shooting at the Music Factory in 2015. And I was shot in the face, and it took me about a month to recover. Obviously, that is super traumatic and life altering and changing, like everything about me, right down to my physical appearance. And so it's not surprising that people think that that would be my recovery story. But I remember sitting in a staff meeting, and somebody had brought up somebody who had been a victim of gun violence. And they said, do you feel comfortable working with him? And I said, well, yeah. I mean, we can talk about what it feels like to still have a bullet inside of you. Like, that's weird, but then I realized throughout it, that wasn't his story either. That wasn't what he identified as his recovery. His was his trauma from his family and his childhood. And a lot of mine is the same. And so realizing that talking through people, it wasn't even just supporting them, but I was being supported because I was finding myself through talking with people and finding out things about myself that I didn't even know was labeled trauma, and I remember going to your office that day, and because I remember probably for the first 6 months I worked at PRN, I think I cried every day. And I went to Lisa's office and I said, I wish that I could just change the world and just fix all of this, and she said, well, you're not going to make it if you have that. People have their own power, and people just need hope to see that they can do it. And I think in a way I needed that too whenever I first started. And I'm just really grateful that PRN had the patience with me to help me grow through that and realize my own hope inside of me that I actually have had, and my own strength. And realizing that taking it from someone, doing it for somebody and fixing it for someone is taking away their own power. And I think that conversations that I've had with coworkers as well as people we support, it's shown me my own power. And I'm eternally grateful for that.
Yeah, Darcy, not everybody gets shot in the face at a concert. And you're a brave girl, and you were raised to be that way. Whether you really were or not, you were raised to be that way. And so it was one of the most beautiful transformations I saw when you were able to see that you really did have something to offer PRN, that you could sit and you could take your experience and share with someone that you have felt hopeless or felt that you were at the end of your life or end of the rope, so to speak. And you dug deeper inside of Darcy and things came up. So as you've walked these 5.5 years and have learned more and more, had this big transformation, wanted to be the best person you could be, physically, mentally, spiritually, all of it, life shows up.
Yep.
Our people show up, right? The people we love on, the people we support, whether it's family or, work, it showed up a lot, especially over this last year or two, right? So how did you manage that? How did you manage to stay on top of your game with all the changes you were going through? Also seeing, there were some tragic events over the last couple of years in your life that you had to walk through, still come to work, still had to put on all these things. So where did you find, how did you keep that in front of you every day? How did you keep pushing aside that vicarious trauma? Because we have seen vicarious trauma take over someone's life.
Yeah.
In their career, in their relationships. We have seen that happen, and I've seen it over and over. And it's so sad because what's inside of them to give is beautiful, but they don't have the abilities to separate and to take it off and leave it and to take good self-care. So how did you manage to do that? You're so young. You've had so many events in your own personal life, but also others. How have you been able to not put on that jacket of vicarious trauma and wear it every day heavy?
You know what, Lisa, that is a good question. Sometimes I feel like I don't even know. But I do think a lot of it comes from, at the end of the day, me having gratitude for what I do have and the supports I do have. And I, quotes are constantly in my head. Obviously, I've quoted you twice on here. I try to surround myself with as much optimistic or, and I think I need to do that because I'm very much a realist. I'm very 2 + 2 is 4. That's what makes sense, right? It's hard for me to go in the gray. And so I think with the beautiful part about me working at PRN and having all of these relationships has been understanding that it's not always black and white and there is a gray. And so I've decided to surround myself with things that I don't normally tend to go to in my head, which is optimism. I wouldn't say I'm a pessimist, but I'm very much a realist. Like, I'm like, well, this is going to happen, but I think that having strong relationships with the people in my life that I know have the best intentions for me and for themselves and the relationship that we're building. Relationships are huge for me. And I think that without, I have to have people that I can call and not have to give a play-by-play of everything that happened to me that day. I can just call and say, hey, today kind of sucks. And that person says, okay, what's helpful? Do you want to sit? Do you want to run? Do you need some water? Did you make your bed today? And it's, to me, I need that accountability from the people in my life to make sure that I'm doing that. And not saying that, my bed is not made right now. I'll tell you that. That doesn't mean I'm falling apart, but that is a sign that, like, okay, I need to have a get your stuff together night, and I actually even texted one of my supports tonight and I said, tonight's going to be a Darcy, get your stuff together and don't turn on the TV until your laundry's done, and that's something, because tomorrow morning when I wake up, I'll wake up and I'll say, okay, I did this, I did that, I'm ready to go. There's a fresh start. If I didn't get anything else done, at least I got that done today. And it's, a huge, like you said, lots of transitions in my life the last couple of years, especially over this past year. And I think it's been difficult, but it's also been freeing in a way, because I feel like I'm myself and I have myself and I have my place, and those are my pictures, and I hung them up crooked, and I'm okay with that, and so even though I see them crooked, I'm like, well, you know what? I did it, like, boom, and so it's to me, it's kind of recognizing the small achievements I do every single day. And, one of the things I struggle with every day is, was I a good enough person? Am I a good person? Does that make me a bad person if I feel like, or if I said this, or if I said it like that? I worry so bad about being a good person or not. And one of my support said, well, if this makes you feel any better, if you weren't a good person, you wouldn't worry about being a good person. And so that's what I tell myself every day now. And I think that that's helpful. And also the people we support and the people we work with, I have so much love and I care about them so much. They're our family. So it's not necessarily hard for me to go to work when I'm struggling, because I see them and I talk to them and I'm inspired by them and I get hope from them. And, just the resiliency that we see, I feed off of them, and I feed off of, like, everything that they have going on, and they still get up every day. So I'm like, you know what, I can too. And that's kind of the longest, best answer I think I can give to that question is I don't know and I do know.
Well, I can tell you, for me, your newfound platform of confidence and not being afraid to dig in and discover yourself. Discover that you don't hang pictures very well, and it's okay, because you'll get better at it, right? Because you'll change that up anyway. Like, you're going to be like most of us, you're like, oh, I need to move that. Just being brave enough to set out on your own, be quiet in your life and have that serenity. It looks good on you. It really looks good on you. And you are a person that has proven over and over again, not only just as a coworker, but as a friend, that when you say yes, you mean yes. And when you say no, you mean no. Yeah, you really do. And it looks good on you. And I think that you're a person that has come through a lot and can be trusted, and that you are not just saying yes to everything, and that you're taking care of your house. You're protecting your house. You literally are, because you've got lots to do in your life, and got a long life ahead of you. And so I'm just really proud of you, and thank you for being vulnerable tonight to just come on and share a little bit about what's happened in your life, because we know that through your story and through other stories that we can see that hope, and see that, you got up out of that hospital bed. You started your life, and you didn't look back, and you've grown and grown and grown and grown. And now you are able to pull back here and help other people with your story and other stories that have happened in your life. So I just thank you. You're an amazing woman, and you just keep changing. Every time I see you, you're just changing and getting better and stronger in your walk at work. And you're tackling on a big thing at PRN. 5.5 years ago, Darcy would have probably ran out the door if that had been said, well, we're going to let you open and run a brand new program at PRN that is so exciting, the respite program. So kudos to you on that. Is well deserved. And within that endeavor, you're going to grow even more. And you probably will start finding mama's house again.
Oh, yeah.
And well, you got daddy's in the house now too, because Aaron's taking over half my office. So it's going to be, I got to go see mama and daddy's house. So, or we'll kick daddy out if you need just mama time. But you do a great job, and we all should take note of how you embrace your supports and figure out who those people are and who those people aren't, who you need to bring to you, lean on. And then some people you need to lean back a little bit. Not that you don't love them, but they're not healthy and where you need to be today. So thank you so much, Darcy. We got Miss Ariel, being vulnerable herself tonight, putting it out into the chat that PRN cracked me open in the best way. And yet we need to have Ariel on too, because she had the same transformation, very close to her sister Darcy. So absolutely. And she has been out loud about her recovery, and I'm very proud of Ariel. And Ariel just shouts you out, you go girl, Darcy. So we're all proud of you. But yeah, so Aaron, tell us what else we need to know about this vicarious trauma and what we need to do about it.
We sure are going to talk about it. And thank you so much, Lisa K. And we'll be coming back to you very shortly. I want to say, Ariel, we are going to have you on. That's the little homie. I'm the big homie. And we're going to have Ariel on. And she has been just so absolutely magnificent in stepping into some roles that directly assist some of the things that I'm doing. And I just appreciate that we're doing. And I appreciate that so much, Ariel. So, Darth, we understand with vicarious trauma, and we're going to hit it and quit it, Darth, because we're going to come and hear some of what's going on with Darcy right now. Lisa alluded to some of those things. We're going to come to it in just a second. Vicarious trauma, we see it displayed. These are the symptoms of vicarious trauma. They show themselves through our emotional, cognitive, behavioral, physical, or spiritual self. And when we see this, I often ask people who come on with us, Darcy, in your life, with the things that your journey, right? And especially during the most intense times of your journey. And I'm thinking about now your transformation of self that you so vividly and adequately explained to us tonight from a vicarious trauma standpoint, the lens of vicarious trauma. When you look at the people closest to you during your change, and those people who were part of some of your traumatic experiences, the people who have been closest to you and have rode out your change with you, or some of the people that sort of went as far as they could go and they're no longer travel, right? When you look at vicarious trauma, where would you see the most intensive impact or display of vicarious trauma for people who have been with you on journey? Has it been emotional? Is it the way people have thought? Is it cognitive? Is it behavioral, the way they've responded? Is it physical, or is it spiritual? And we're talking about the people that you can look around and say, I see how this is affecting you. Which one of these would you, or all of them, or two of them, or three of them, what would you say?
So If I could just call my mom out real quick, which I know she wouldn't mind, so I will. But speaking about my accident and everything and saying how that was super traumatic, but not the most traumatic thing that I feel. That's a very much the most traumatic thing I think that's happened to her. And I know that she feels it physically when there is something on the news about something in Charlotte or near my house or something at a school. She's very triggered by that. And she texts me, she calls me, and I get that, because that's her trauma. And although she wasn't there, she was there in the hospital with me, right? But after that, and I think that my mom has told me that which I'm very proud of this, my mom has said she's learned a lot from me about forgiveness, because I think a lot of people would ask me, well, what happened to the people that did this to you? Where are they? And, my answer was always, I don't know. That's not something that I keep tabs on, like hopefully they're doing okay. And they've, made an impact, or this made an impact on their life enough to know that this isn't maybe the life that they want to do or whatever. And so, I think that it was very hard for people to understand that, but forgiveness is such a big part of my life. Holding on to that anger and that resentment and that grudge is drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. So, my outlook on it is I hope you're doing well. I would actually really enjoy speaking with them, which is kind of surprising to say maybe, but I think that my mom has really had a tough time, and I can understand that. I mean, it's your kid, it's your baby, and you see this happen to them, and you always say, don't mess with my kids or I'll do whatever, but you really don't know until you're there. And whenever your kid says, I want you to forgive them, it kind of takes a turn.
Yeah, that really does. And you're speaking to two parents who can attest to that. So Darcy, we know that recovery is not only possible, it's probable, right? It just happens in every arena of life. And so when we talk about vicarious trauma, we also talk about the process of recovery, because like everything else, that opportunity is there. The steps that we identify with the most are identifying the symptoms. And you, over the last 40 something minutes, just talked about how things affect both you and other people and how we've shaped them. You've talked about fostering healthy relationships. On this side, you've quoted Lisa, you've quoted others. You just talk about how healthy relationships have been such a part of you moving forward and making some decisions, some tough decisions, some life-altering decisions work for you. And a lot of that has to do with the health of our relationships, the wellness in our relationships. And then another part of the process of recovery is finding support networks. I'm one of yours. And so we have these support networks that literally, that word support, they help hold us up. Lisa, what was it that Carrie told us? Some of them you lean on, and some of them, how did she put that, Lisa? You lean on some.
She kept referring to her, there were certain supports that she leaned on, not just depended on, but she leaned on. And we made a very distinct difference between leaning and just needing someone.
Leaning in and leaning on, right?
Yeah, and leaning in and leaning on.
Yeah. So for you, we've heard it, Darce. We've heard it that you have people to lean on, right? And the good thing about that is when you have people to lean on, you're giving people someone else to lean on. And so it becomes reciprocal, and it's just an absolutely good feeling. And then the other or another is we foster our own needs. We get to build our own needs. So I'm gonna come back to that one in just a second. The last one is that we acknowledge our experience, and you've done that, right? This is what it looked like. This is where I've taken it. I want to come back to fostering your own needs. Self-care, what does it look like?
Oh, Aaron, it looks like tea and going to bed at 8 p.m. I got about 40 minutes till I hit the hay. But no, I mean, it's not all bubble bath and hot tea, right? My self-care is looking at myself in the mirror and saying, what did you do today for yourself? Did you eat lunch? Did you take care of yourself? Did you eat a cheeseburger or did you eat a salad? And remind, you know what, Aaron, I actually ate a cheeseburger today, which is great.
I ate a salad. Okay.
But you know what? That was my self-care today because I was like, you know what? I don't want spinach. I want a cheeseburger. And so I did that. And sometimes it's for me, self-care is listening to what my body is telling me I need, doing it. And the other part of my self-care is having my support network keep me accountable for it. I go into the office, Bunny, well, it'll be 3:00. She says, have you eaten today? You know, it's being accountable for just basic needs of myself, you know, and self-care is taking a day off every now and then. And, you know, my birthday is coming up at the end of this month and I'm taking my birthday, well, the day after my birthday off, and I'm going to the beach and I'm very excited, and I'm not going to bring my computer, you know, and like just little things like that. But it's hard to say stepping away from work is part of self-care because I love what I do and I want to do it every day. So it's not like something I really feel like I need a break from. But self-care, really just washing my hair, probably. I need to do that a little bit more, maybe brushing it every now and then. You know, we've had talks about that, Aaron. Really just making sure I'm taking care of myself in its own word.
So Darcy, and thank you for that. Now I want to dig into this because this is part of the world knowing who Darcy Kwon is. Darcy, explain IPS to us, and then talk about, as Lisa alluded to, respite. Talk about respite and what these things are, because these are important parts of PRN. These are instrumental parts, and respite is a true game changer. And you've been tasked with, you've had this delivered in your lap. These are your babies. So tell us about IPS first, and then tell us about your role and responsibility with respite.
Absolutely. So IPS, it feels like my baby because that's where I started at PRN. It's, you know, it's been everything since I started. So IPS is a form of a supported employment program. It stands for individualized placement and support. So it is a very non-traditional way to explore employment with people who are working and want a new job, maybe have never worked before, people who think that they maybe can't work or have been told that they can't work. You know, we're driven by 8 different practice principles, which I won't get into the nerdy stuff for you because that's up my alley, and I know that you guys probably don't care about that stuff, but you know, 2 + 2 is 4, that's my group. But basically it's a time unlimited service, and we use, instead of time unlimited, we usually say you drive the bus. So anything that you want to do for work or want to explore about work, we don't say no to it, you know. We explore those options with you. We help you figure out how to get your foot in the door to a place, because the other part of our job is to go out and make relationships with employers in the community. You know, if we understand that financial needs are apparent very often, so we can also help with what we call Band-Aid jobs. God, we have all these like cool little nicknames for everything. But a Band-Aid job, you know, stop the bleeding for now, but we're not going to forget about that dream job. It's a very different approach to employment services in North Carolina. It's a beautiful program. We've had a lot of success, a lot of wonderful people that we work with, a lot of awesome employers who really just want to make sure that people are getting jobs that fit them. So that's IPS. So in like the shortest amount of time I could possibly describe it, I could literally talk about it for like 5 hours, but we don't want that. So the respite, you know, it's going to serve people who are 18 years or older. It's a non-hospital voluntary alternative for psychiatric care. So if it's somebody who instead of going to the hospital, we don't want to word it like that, but people who are experiencing distress or need a place to really just come and feel what they're feeling and have a very safe, comfortable place to be. We have a building right next to the hub and it's going to be staffed with peer support specialists who have their own experience with either IVC, voluntary commitment, any of those suicide attempts, stuff like that. And it's really just a safe place to help you come back and process and have somebody to talk to 24/7 whenever you need. It's an amazing, beautiful, literally respite. If you know what, to me, like, it reminds me of going into this beautiful hotel and somebody hands you like a robe and chocolate covered strawberries, and like they're like dinners, blah blah blah. It's just like so comfy and just no judgment, and just be yourself here and experience what you want to experience, and be with somebody who has maybe not walked the same exact path, but understands what that means whenever you say that. And so it's a beautiful, game-changing thing for at least Mecklenburg County. So I am so grateful to have been part of the startup piece of that. And I can't wait to open. It's going to be amazing.
And Darcy, this is absolutely magnificent. And my reality is that with PRN, who the three of us love so very much, to be able to be there this time of our lives as our career vehicle, PRN, I can only speak for my gray hairs. PRN is in great hands, Darcy. And Lisa began this by talking about your old soul. And I do forget sometimes how young you are, and that you are actually the leader of our next generation of PRN. And so the fact that you have the opportunity to direct and put your fingerprint on these very important vehicles that we have, respite and IPS, it's just important to the health and the sustainability of PRN. So it's just good to have you on the squad. I'm going to turn it back over to Lisa K. Lisa, give us some last Lisa words. Tell us what's going on with Chad. And yep, you on, Lisa K.
All right. Well, Miss Karen's in the house. She's running around taking care of her beautiful family, and she's chiming in and telling us hello. And she also made a comment that respite with PRN will be a life changer. Karen's one of our folks that's a community worker as well as Warm Line. So we love hearing from Miss Karen, and she's up and coming with PRN as well, and we're excited about that too. So thanks, Miss Karen. Darcy, you're amazing, and I cannot wait to watch this unfold. I hope you'll allow me to be a part of stuff as much as you need me to be, and all that. I just really want to sit back and just say, oh, look at her go, but I'm, Aaron and I we're just right upstairs, and we're gonna hear everything anyway. So
Lisa.
But I am excited. I'm most excited to watch you grow into this. And like Aaron said, you're you're one of the big leaders, the big hitters in this next generation of PRN. And Karen says that you're a leader in the communities as well. So we're just proud to know you, and proud that you stuck around with us these 5.5 years. And I don't know if you read your contract, but there was in small print, you can't go till Lisa K says you can. So that will be not until way after I retire. So anyway, we love you, and thank you so much for coming on and sharing about what's up and coming in your life.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So, Darcy, you're technically on the clock. So if you would tell us about Welcome Desk and let everybody know what to do there. Go ahead, Darcy.
All right. So Miss Kim Porter holds it down for us. She is amazing. I love her so much. 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. You can find her answering the calls at the Welcome Desk, 704-390-7709. She would love to hear from you, and you would love to hear her beautiful voice. She's the sweetest.
All right, Darcy. I know you're saying I'm supposed to be a guest and they making me do dishes. Here you go, Darcy. If you would, let them know about Warm Line.
Yeah, the Warm Line, free, confidential, 24/7, 365 days a year. It's a non-crisis call line where if you are just really wanting to talk something out with somebody, want to talk to somebody who may have a similar experience to you, or just need like a warm ear. Sometimes it's lonely, especially this past year. We've all experienced that with COVID, I think. And, just somebody to lean on for a minute. As we said earlier, it's a great place to go. 833-390-7728, 24/7. We'd love to have you call.
Darcy, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight on Through the Eyes. We've been waiting to have you on. We asked, you said yes, here we are. And the world gets to know another one of our sidekicks, Darcy Kwan, and not just the good work that you do, but the wonderful person that you are. So thank you so much for hanging out with Lisa and I. Matter of fact, one day we'll take vacation one day, and maybe you'll step in here and co-host this for us one day, right? So thank you so much, Darcy. Everybody, don't forget to share the conversations. Please put this on your social media, get it out there, share it, and please go to our YouTube channel and subscribe to PRN's YouTube channel. On behalf of my sidekick, Lisa Kay, our special guest, our team member, Darcy Kwan, we want to say thank you for hanging out with Through the Eyes of Others. Join the conversation as we look at life through the eyes of our neighbors, our friends, our loved ones. We talk to you soon. See you next week, same time, 6:30 on Wednesday.